And we are live. Welcome everyone. And we're going to need a few moments for everyone to come on board. But I am R. Christian Minson, here resident breathwork facilitator and senior trainer here at the Rythmia Retreat, Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. I'm here today to talk about breathwork for improved physical performance. And that's my introduction while I wait for a few people to get on board. Just let you know, we are in our third week here at Rythmia, and we have a great crew here this week. Kyle Cease is with us. Kyle Cease, the comedian who is also, there we are. Hey, I am actually live and I can see myself. Great, this is what I've been hoping for. You may notice a change in surroundings. It's a little bit plainer, but I'm in a different location that supposedly has better internet coverage. So ideally we'll be able to get through this with minimal interruption. So I see some people joining on. So far, Jason, hey Jason, I believe he's in the Colorado region, right? Dave, hey Dave, yo. Please come on in, give me some thumbs up like that. Yeah, give me some little hearts. Say hi on the screen. I am looking to just interact today as we're on this Facebook Live. It's a chance to interact, to ask questions for most of you. Let's see who has it. Rhonda from Kentucky. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Kathy Gallagher. Hi. Great. We are. I'm still trying to figure out. I've got it on the screen here. Oops. Hold on. Turn that sound off. You can hear me about 10 seconds delayed. All right, there we go. We've got some of that showing up. So just waiting for a few people to join on. Looks like about 14 now. I think our technical difficulties from the last week's past have diminished the numbers a little bit. 16, 15 are showing up. We had 250 on last week before the internet went down. And Shelly has joined. Hi, Shelly. Saw you had a question for me earlier. I'll get to you. I was preparing for this Facebook Live. Leslie from Illinois. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Matthew. So we got a good bunch of people. My name is Christian Minson, here at Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. I'm here today to talk about breathwork for improved physical performance. Right? And maybe we just get right into that topic because this is a great topic. Basically, I'm coming at this at the angle, who's that? From Eileen from Colorado. All right, Eileen, excellent. And Janer, welcome all of you. Breathwork for improved physical performance is our topic today. And if you've tuned in before, you may know, and if you haven't tuned in, I'm going to tell you that the breathwork that we do here, breathwork is a type of physical, spiritual, emotional betterment. It's a process that affects us on those three levels of our being: physical, emotional, and spiritual. And today, we're really just going to focus on that physical aspect. So how breathwork can help us improve our physical performance. And Kristen Adams, hello. So when I'm talking about improved physical performance, basically, the first thing that might come to mind is athletic performance, how well our body functions, and that's certainly part of it, and maybe a big focus of our time together today. But, improved physical performance also means improvements to the brain, how our brain functions, and abilities. our senses can be enhanced through this physicalness. So, Jenny, there we got. Now I'm starting to see people. Pura Vida, yes, and Susan, hi. And is it Janer or Janner? Pura Vida. All right, and if you're liking what I'm saying, give me hearts, give me likes. If you've got a question, type it into the chat bar. This is an interactive process. This is what Facebook Live is really all about, to give you a chance to be here with us, even when you're not here physically in the Costa Rican environment. So, Andy, love your lives. Thank you. Hainer. Okay, Hainer. That's how I would say it. Good. At times when I believe I'm in the true moment, I notice I'm not breathing. I have to tell myself to breathe. Learning this breath work shall truly be beneficial for me. And so, is that Dio? Yeah. Dio, you'll notice that when you're in the true moment, you are breathing. You are fully there, because when you're connected with the moment, your breath is moving. When you stop breathing, you actually disconnect from the moment. And that may be a subconscious disconnection, but that's why it's so important to bring the breathwork practice to our lives, is so that we stay in the flow of breathing. And we'll talk about that flow a little bit. So today is breathwork for improved physical performance, physical athletic performance, brain performance, and sensory performance. So this all comes from take a step back and see why does breathwork work? And we have to look at, what are we doing with breathwork? We're learning to bring more oxygen into our bodies. Yeah, Dio, great. I'm glad that makes sense to you. So breathwork, we're trying to bring more oxygen into our bodies. Oxygen being our number one energy source. Think about it. People can typically live without food for up to 40 days. Now, it's not recommended that you try that, especially not without constant medical supervision. But up to 40 days we could live without food and still survive. We can live with water, without fluids, for about 5 days if we really had to. Once again, something I wouldn't suggest you try. But we can do that. But how long can you live without air? How long can you live without oxygen? I mean, it varies, but some people can actually practice to hold their breaths for 7 or 8 minutes, but around 5 minutes or so. Let's just say 5 to 10 minutes. And if we don't get ourselves breathing, we start to suffer permanent brain damage, and ultimately we can end up in death. So that's just to say that oxygen is something that we need abundantly, we need a lot of it, and we need it regularly. We need it consistently. It's our number one energy source. And so breath work is really helping us to maximize our ability to intake that oxygen. Hanner, I'm still trying to figure out how to say your name, but you feel like to treat yourself to a retreat here sometime. I can't think of a better way to spend a vacation. You know, this isn't such Rythmia is not a vacation spot per se. It's not a place you're going to sit on the beach and drink pina coladas and just relax. This is a place for intensive life advancement. That's why we call it a Life Advancement Center. And the program that you go through, most people some people need a vacation from their vacation after that, because this is work. This is self-improvement work. But we have basically a 96% satisfaction rate, 96, 97%, which means people that come here truly feel that they got something special. And somewhere around that same percentage, people feel like this experience was a pivotal moment in their life that changed the whole course of their existence. So if you're looking for something more than just a relaxing vacation, a time to drink and eat and lie on the beach and get massages, though we do give massages, we do cleanses here, we have great food. So all that is part of the program, but the real program is the self-development. Plant medicine and the breathwork ceremonies that we do here are really designed to help you unfold, open up to your heart, to your soul, and to come away being a new you. Debbie saying, grateful for me and my teaching. Oh, thank you, Debbie. And Ray, concentration, hydration, and meditation. Yeah, those are important things in our lives. So oxygen is our number one energy source. The other thing we want to recognize on the physical level is that our breath process is also our number one detoxification source. Now get this, we detox, we release toxins from our body, one, through our elimination system, urinate it out, go to the bathroom. Number two is that we'll rid ourselves of toxins through sweat. Our pores will release toxins as we sweat, and we'll release toxins that way. But the third and most significant way that we release toxins, in fact, about 70 to 80% of the toxins that we release on a daily basis are released through our respiration, through our breathing. Now, here's a sad but true fact, that the vast majority of us, about 90%, from my experience, breathe at about 20% or less of our capacity on a regular basis. So take that in for a moment. We breathe at 20% or less of our capacity, which means that our number one energy source, we're only getting 20% of the energy that could be driving our being, driving this physical vehicle. Think of this as a vehicle. We get around with it. It moves. It lifts. It's like a tractor. It's like a forklift. It's like a race car. This vehicle needs energy. It needs oxygen. And if it's not getting it, what do you think happens? If your car doesn't get oxygen, what happens? It's got its fuel, the gas, and then it's got oxygen that goes into the piston. And if it's got too little fuel, it's not going to go too very well. If it's got too little oxygen, it's not going to get very far either. You can be pumping tons of fuel, but that oxygen is necessary to help burn the fuel, to help catalyze the fuel into a useful form, which is the combustion that then drives the engine. The same thing is going on in the engine of each and every little cell in our body. All right, each and every little cell is being fueled by this oxygen. So low gas mileage, less horsepower. Yeah, exactly, Jason. That's what's happening when we're not getting enough oxygen in us. So this is where we're coming from. So I want to give you a little story. Basically, from my experience, I used to live in Colorado. Jason, you'll appreciate this. And I was visiting a friend up in Breckenridge. Breckenridge is in the Rocky Mountains. Beautiful ski resort area. And in fact, that day, I visited my friend who lived there. He didn't go skiing with me that day, but I spent a full day out in the Breckenridge Mountains. And man, if you want a great place to ski, that's one of them for sure. One of our favorite places in Colorado. And then they got the Breckenridge Brewery nearby, microbrew beers, that good stuff. Anyway, spent a good hard day skiing, and if anybody out there has been skiing, 6, 7, 8 hours of skiing can tire you out pretty well. So I came back to my friend's cabin and was relaxing with him for a while, and he had just gotten done with his work. He'd been working all day, and he said, "You want to go snowshoeing?" Well, first I thought, man, am I tired? And Jason said, Breckenridge is at 13 to 14,000 foot elevation. This is significant because the oxygen is a lot thinner there. And, you get tired easier, especially if you're not breathing properly. So here I am. I've had 8 hours of hard recreation, hard physical activity. I come back at a 13 to 14,000 foot altitude. Come back to my friend. He says, "Let's go snowshoeing." At first, I'm like, man, I'm tired. Then I'm like, I've never gone snowshoeing, and I really want to. The snow is about 5 feet high, and you put these tennis racket-like things on your feet, and you go tromping around, and it's amazing. It's just so much fun. So I couldn't resist, and I went out snowshoeing with them. Now, what I was finding was, obviously I was tired from my skiing. I went and I was snowshoeing with him, and I found myself starting to lag behind. So he started going ahead, and I was getting further and further behind him. What I noticed in that moment was something interesting. I noticed, I was like, I got to catch up, but I'm tired. What I happened to notice, because I am a breath worker, and this was a revelation for me at the time, probably about 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years back, that I saw that my breathing was irregular and erratic. I wasn't breathing really smoothly, and I wasn't breathing very efficiently. So what I did was I harnessed my breath to this pattern that we teach called the transformational breath, in and out, a full-bodied breath, a relaxed breath, and a continuous rhythmic circular flow. So I started breathing like that, and what I found was that I started getting more energy. I was able to step in time with the rhythm of my breath, and as long as I kept my breath rhythmic and flowing, my feet were able to match that rhythm. And then I started to speed up the rhythm gradually, not like all at once, but as I gradually speeded up, I could speed up the pace of my steps. And I caught up to my friend again. And so there we were, snowshoeing again. And periodically I'd find that he got ahead of me and I'd start feeling tired again. Every time that happened, I would check in, and what happened is that I had lost my focus and concentration on my breath, and my breath had gotten erratic again. I was taking shorter breaths. I was holding my breath as I was trying to catch up and things like that, and that just wasn't working. And as soon as I got my breath back on this full body, relaxed and rhythmic pattern, my energy came back. And again, this is after 8 hours of hard skiing. This is at 14,000 foot altitude where the air is very thin, and if you're used to living at sea level, it's not that easy. But by keeping this breath pattern going, I was able to sustain my athletic performance. And this is really the benefits we're talking about. Sustained performance, meaning more endurance, lasting longer, and then also greater bursts of speed or bursts of strength when you need it. All right, so let's tune in here for a second. Consciousness even when breathing. Here, Susan Thomas is in Colorado now. Excellent. Hopefully you'll get to go to Breckenridge and try some skiing there. All right, so all right, we are at 140-ish people right now. This is great. If you just tuned in, we're talking about breath work for improved physical and performance, and I just more or less wrapping up a personal story where I discovered how deeply important the breath work was for keeping that physical performance alive. So what I really realized was that all of the elements of the breath work were factors in increasing the performance. And let's go over those elements. So the first one is to maximize the intake of air. So this is what we're doing in our breathwork training, and what we do here at Rythmia is first we want to focus on taking full inhales, meaning we start with a diaphragmatic breath, where that dome-shaped muscle is actively working. We also call it a belly breath because it looks like your belly is moving up and down. So you're getting the oxygen into the lower lobes of the lungs. This is important. The lungs have lower lobes and they have upper lobes. The lower lobes actually have 75% of the blood vessels that take the oxygen through the bloodstream into the rest of the body. So if you're a shallow breather, if you're just breathing the upper chest, you are missing. Number one, you're getting half or less of the air that you could be getting. But number two, the air that you're getting is only 25% of the blood vessels are up here to take it to the body. So you're missing the opportunity for your body to get fully oxygenated. I just thought of something, so I'm just writing it down here. So it's important to first get the air into the lower lobes, but ultimately want to use the full respiratory capacity, lower and upper lobes. So a nice full breath is what we're learning to take with each breath we take. Remember what I said, most of us breathe at 20% of our capacity, which means it's like, if this is the capacity, we're filling up this much, or most of us will fill up like this, which again is only 20% of the capacity, and then only 25% of the blood vessels taking it to the rest of the body. And you wonder why you're tired, you wonder why you're lethargic, you wonder why you're mentally foggy and don't want to do anything. This is why, because you're not feeding yourself with the energy that you need, not only to sustain a power performance, but just to sustain everyday performance. So if you want to increase your physical performance, body, mind, or senses, we need to introduce more oxygen in there. Oxygen activates all the cells to make them function better. So the second part, so we talked about the fullness of the capacity is important. The second part of this breath process that's also important in every breath we take, especially when we're working with physical performance, is to relax the breath. It's an easeful, graceful process to breathe. In other words, where we're not stressing as we're breathing. Basically, if you're wanting to increase your physical performance, say you're an athlete, conservation of energy is of utmost importance, right? I mean, any energy that you expend in anything other than your goal, like getting to the finish line or breaking that time record that you've got, is wasted energy. It's just energy that you're using that's not harnessed towards your goal. So when you breathe in a more a less relaxed manner, let's just say, you're expending energy in the breathing process. So that energy is getting tied up in that process and not available to use for your muscles, to use for your brain. So we need to learn to relax. And again, this is the second element of this breathing technique. We're taking a full breath, then we're taking a relaxed breath. The relaxation often comes, we access that relaxation primarily through the exhale. Just relaxing, not forcing that exhale out, which is a lot of what I see people do, especially when they start increasing their effort. And that's what happens when we're performing at high levels, is that we start exerting more effort. So we got to be very careful to relax, to stay relaxed in our breathing while we're exerting effort physically, strenuously, or mentally. The relaxation helps us to conserve energy and channel it into our muscles or our brain where we need it at that particular moment. So the third part of the process, and the one that like really fascinated me probably the most, is to maintain a rhythm to your breath. Maintain a pace. And this is what I noticed in my snowshoe story, was that when my rhythm got irregular, when my pace got irregular, the pace of my steps became irregular. The energy wasn't there, and I wasn't like regular. I wasn't on pace. If you're an athlete, you know that you've got a pace. You got to maintain a certain rhythm to your performance. It's not like burst all at once and then slow down and burst some more and slow. It's like, no, a regular rhythm, and then you try to increase that rhythm. So the pace of our breath is directly linked to the pace of our movements. And you'll find that if you breathe in rhythm, that you'll step in rhythm, that you'll run in rhythm, that you'll ski in rhythm, or whatever you're trying to do, snowshoe in rhythm. And that then what I found is gradually increasing the pace of the breath effortlessly increased my pace of walking, in this case, the snowshoe. And I was able to walk faster and catch up to my friend. If you are a runner or a biker or something like that, again, if you're biking, you're pedaling at a certain rhythm. As you increase the pace of your breath, that actually helps you to increase the pace of your pedal strokes, right? And in a way that doesn't feel like you're making more effort, because you're compensating for the increased pace by the increased amount of oxygen coming in. The oxygen that you need for this increased activity is happening through the increased pace of your breath. Right. So these three things are part of the breathing process that we teach here at Rythmia, but there are three important things that are important for enhanced physical performance. Again, to maximize the intake, to take as much air as you can with each breath you take, to take relaxed breaths, to not expend energy in the breathing process, but to use the breathing process to give you more energy and focus that energy in your muscles or your brain or your senses, whatever physical activity you are doing in that moment. And then to maintain a rhythm, a pace to your breathing that's going to help you stay in pace or rhythm with whatever physical activity you're doing. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Let me check in and see. Brent has joined us since, Jason. So let's just check in. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in. I'm happy to answer anything that anybody's got. If you got a comment, you agree with me, you can send in a few little thumbs ups, you can send in a few little hearts across the screen. If you don't agree with me, you can send that mad face or whatever. I'm here to interact with you. Basically, my ulterior motive is to encourage you to come here to Rythmia. All right, we're getting some hearts and some. Wait, somebody sent a mad face. All right, and now a laughing face. Good. Debbie is telling me that was very clear. Thanks, Debbie. And other Deborah is hi from Colorado. All right, Deborah. Hopefully you're skiing or doing some kind of wonderful winter activity. Susan's saying she's going to come soon. Excellent. And that's what I was saying. My ulterior motive here is to start to get to know you, have you get to know me and get to know the other characters here at Rythmia. So by the time you get here, you feel like you're already part of the family. In fact, that's just an aside. There's been a few people who've come just in these past 3 weeks since we reopened in January after the Christmas vacation, the December vacation. People got off the bus and said, "Hi, Christian." And I was like, I was trying to think, have you come before? Did I know you from last time I was here? And they said, I saw you on Facebook Live. And they comment that it really feels good to step out and see a familiar face, to already know people here. And so this is what we're really trying to do, is bridge the gap. You'll see when you actually finally do arrive at Rythmia, what a real family environment it is, and how we strive. And I'm getting a lot of hearts now here, so that's likely from people who have been here before and know what I'm saying. But for those who haven't, that's one of the things people comment on most, is how quickly they feel right at home, and especially in an environment where we're doing intensive work, intensive self-discovery work, where it requires you to get vulnerable and be open and stay open. So it's really nice to have that sort of connection with people. And Debbie's saying, I'm so looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having you here. Tiffany, what do you feel one of the best breathing exercises there are out there? Well, personally, I feel like the breathing exercise that we teach is one of the best. And really not because it's the one that I teach, but basically because of what I've just been saying in this Facebook Live. I more or less stumbled into the technique that I end up teaching, but after getting an overview of many of the other techniques, what I found is that I personally feel like I stumbled into the best one. Many of the techniques will give you emotional catharsis, and that's one of the topics we'll talk about next week, is really the emotional dimension of breathwork. But the the one thing that I love about this breath work that we teach here is it's really setting you up for a healthy breath pattern no matter when you're breathing. Every breath you take can follow this general formula. Full inhale, relaxed exhale, circular rhythmic flow. If you just keep those three elements, 1, 2, 3, if you keep those three elements in mind with every breath that you take, you will be learning how to breathe better in everyday life. And then, of course, we're talking today about enhanced physical performance. So when you need to step up your game, you're in a competition, or you need to lift some heavy boxes, or you're wrestling with your son or grandson or something like that. It helps you kick in more energy when you need it. So that's why I think this technique's really great. And we not only teach you, you not only have the breath ceremonies where you go through an extended process of this breathing, but then we send you home with an understanding of a simple 5-minute session that you can do every day in the comfort of your own home. All right, so get yourself down here to Rythmia, learn this stuff so that you can be better off for it. Tiffany, deal. I'll be working on this each day before we get there in June. Excellent, excellent. And Jason, do you have a time of day that you do the breath work? For me personally, pretty much right when I wake up is the best time. The breath work has more of, it energizes me more. Now, for some people, it relaxes them more. So if they did it, they like to do it just before bed. My personal advice there is to experiment. Do it in the morning, do it in the afternoon, do it in the evening, and find out where it works best for you. Basically, I'd say the best time to do it is the time that you have to do it. Meaning, if you don't have any time, but right there at lunch, do it at lunch. It's better done than not done. It's better done at noon than not done in the morning, right? So at whatever time. Somebody Debbie was asking, how does it differ from TM? All right, so TM is a meditation practice, all right? TM isn't so much a breathing practice. It's more of a sitting still mantra-focused practice. And meditation is definitely a high-level activity. Some insight about me, I've been a breath worker for the last 11 years, a coach, author, spiritual guide. 10 years prior to that, I was a monk. I was a monk in a spiritual meditative order for 10 years. And I bring that up because of this subject of meditation. Meditation to me is one of the highest level activities that we have for raising our consciousness. And, these techniques that we're teaching here at Rythmia, the plant medicine and the breath work, these are shortcuts. These are, if you've ever heard Jerry Powell, who's the CEO and top dog here at Rythmia, if you've heard him on his Facebook Lives, you may have heard him talk about his relationship with the moon and how he got downloaded a lot of information. This information told him that the two shortcuts to elevating our states of consciousness is plant medicine and breath work. And these two are what we teach here at Rythmia. And I myself and Nicole Rager are our two, the two heads of our breathwork department here at Rythmia. So I'm very honored to be in that capacity. So Jason, the breathwork ceremony was different than any meditation I've ever done. Yeah, and so the breathwork is really a bit more active. You don't have to sit still. You don't have to worry about focusing the mind. You're basically just focused on the breathing and whatever comes up as a process energetically. And that can be physical energy, that can be emotional energy, it can be spiritual perceptions. So the spiritual perceptions part is the most in common with meditation. Meditation usually doesn't come with interesting physical sensations or usually meditation doesn't come with a lot of emotional release and catharsis either. So hopefully that answers the question, Debbie. Deborah is saying, love these live videos so I can prep for my June visit. Excellent. We'll be ready to receive you in June. Chris, see you next month. Excellent, Chris. And what's the best way to breathe to stop or slow down a racing mind? Mike, once again, the technique that I've just outlined, this full breath, relaxed, and rhythmic breathing, really, I'd say it's the rhythm especially that's going to help the mind. A lot of people report, this is very common after the session, that they'll say, I've got such an active monkey mind, and this is the first time I've ever been without thoughts for that long a period of a time. We usually breathe for about 45 minutes to an hour. So their mind is completely relaxed and rested in that 45 minutes to an hour time. So I would say that this process is super effective at that. And having had 10 years of experience, I mean, really 25 years of experience with meditation, but 10 years as a monk, diligently meditating about 4.5 hours each day, I also know what it means to have that monkey mind. And meditation, is the marathon route to harnessing that mind. Again, breathwork and plant medicine are the shortcut routes, the ways that we can experience some of the benefit that is lasting, when we engage in long-term meditative activities. So hopefully that helps. Jason, the breathwork ceremony, different than any meditation you've done. So good. So some of the benefits of all this, just kind of looking at when we're oxygenating, when we're filling ourselves up physically with oxygen, all of our cells benefit. That means if it's a brain cell, your brain cells are going to work better. That means you're going to think clearer. You're going to think faster. You're more on your feet. Your memory tends to be better. That's one of the things that's constantly tested for me and all of us who work here at Rythmia and those that come. I mean, when you've got 50, 60, 70, 80 guests here each week, it's a challenge to learn and remember everybody's name. And I'm finding that, by continuing to practice the breath work, and I'm getting good at that. So I enjoy that part. Man, is it a challenge. So your brain, your organs, if it's a stomach cells that get that oxygen, your digestion is going to end up being better. So people who have digestive issues, this breath work can often enhance your digestion. Your kidneys are going to work better. Your lungs are going to work better. Any organ, your heart, is going to work better. And of course, if it's muscle cells, then your muscles are generally going to be stronger, more resilient, more enduring. And this is what we've been talking about, especially with the physical performance aspect. If you're an athlete, if you're a high-level performing athlete, we need to channel all the energy we can into our muscles so that they can perform at their optimal rate. We need to keep them sustained, enduring, and then at those special places, like when you're trying to pass somebody, you're trying to cross the finish line, you need those extra bursts. You need a reserve to come forward and bring you more energy. And so this is what this breathwork can bring. Debbie says, I like the shortcuts. And yes, I think you're probably not alone there. And that's one of the appealing factors to this work, is that we do get to engage in some shortcuts. So all the cells are going to work better, brain, organ, muscles. If you have chronic pain, oftentimes by doing this breath work, we start to move energy in the body, and that pain releases. People have commonly reported chronic shoulder pain, chronic back pain, chronic abdominal pain. things that have been with them for years and years and years, maybe even decades, and yet there was no traceable physical cause. Like you didn't get in an accident or have a little mishap that caused them to tear a muscle or something like that. Pain just developed. Often this pain starts to diminish as we start working this process and removing emotional energy, which spills that into a little bit into next week's topic about the emotional dimension. But the emotional dimension does play a factor in increased physical performance as well. If you think about it, especially if you're a high-performing athlete, your emotional state is going to affect your ability to perform optimally. So if you're in a low energy state, a low emotional energy state, there's just no way you're going to perform as well as you are when you're happy, when you're focused, when you're exhilarated. That just seems to help enhance and create more energy in your system. So the emotional component of this breath work, the ability to help us process and release negative emotional energies, also it enhances our physical performance. But that's a topic we'll dive into in more detail next week. Respiratory issues, obviously, right? If we're working with our breathing, it's going to help things that have to do with the lungs. Asthma is one of the big issues. There was some woman who's here right now. She's from Canada and actually froze part of her lung when she was young and in athletic competition, ski competition. It was freezing cold. It was decades ago before they had the sense to stop a competition if the conditions weren't right. Back then, it was like, go for it no matter what. And she actually did damage to her lungs and wasn't able to breathe lying down on her back. It was just extremely difficult to breathe. So she found after going through this process, it was the first time she's been able to breathe in all those years, decades of years since she did that damage to her lungs. So she's very excited, and we're having another class tonight. So she'll be in that class. So asthma, other respiratory issues, asthma, allergies. Allergies are something that tends to be influence for the negative of our respiratory system, and allergies can clear up. Both asthma and allergies are curable most of the time, in my opinion. And the breath work and the emotional release work are paramount in those ailments being solved or fixed. Sleep issues. This is an interesting one. A lot of people who have very difficult sleep, they wake up a lot at night, or they have a lot of hard time getting to sleep, or they have sleep apnea where they find themselves stopping breathing in the middle of the night. Once again, going through this breathwork process and here doing it closer to bed is even better. Because you're working the energy, you're clearing energy channels, and the relaxation that occurs is amazing. What's great is we're bringing ourselves in abundant amounts of energy, but it's also a very relaxed energy. It's not like a caffeinated energy that has you like hyper all day long and then crash at some point. It's an energy, a focused, clear, strong energy, and yet at the same time, you can sleep on a dime. So sleep issues. As we said, more energy, more relaxed. Sensory enhancement. Now, this is one of the great things. Our world is largely a sensory experience. Our perception of the world and our experience of the world is largely a sensory experience, right? We see the world. We smell the world, we hear the world, we touch the world, and we taste the world. This is how we interact with the world at large, and whether it's with food, whether it's with inanimate objects, whether it's with other people, it is primarily a sensory exchange. So as you breathe again, this process, and you hyperoxygenate, you get more oxygen in your system, all your sensory cells are firing stronger. So all of your senses come online stronger. So you smell more subtle scents in the air. You can taste more exotic flavors. I often give people a piece of chocolate after a piece of dark chocolate, 72% dark chocolate, just a square after a breath session, and just let them eat that as an exercise in seeing how the nuance of flavor that comes forth. You don't know how many people say, wow, that was the best chocolate I ever ate in my entire life. And basically, it's the standard shelf, Trader Joe's 72% chocolate. If you guys know Trader Joe's out there, red label, try it. You eat it normally, it's not bad. If you eat it after a breath session, man, it tastes like the finest organic, high processed chocolate you've ever tasted. Your senses are working better. Your sense of touch, and this is great if you're in a relationship and you and your partner can experiment with breathing together and then touching, gently, caressing each other and noticing how you feel the touch more, your sense of that touch comes to life all that much more, and that if you're doing the touching, how much more sensitive you are in that touch. It can really be a deep bonding, loving bonding experience to explore the aspects of touch with somebody you're partnered with. So sensory enhancement is one of those ways for, we're talking about improved physical performance, and our senses are part of that physical makeup. Disease, we're less prone to disease as we're more oxygenated. Again, our cells, our white blood cells are reinforced with oxygen, so they're stronger. They're ready to fight the good fight against disease. Also, get this, we talked about this breath process being number one detoxification process, but did you know that anaerobic diseases do not thrive in an oxygenated environment, right? Anaerobic means without oxygen. What's the number one anaerobic disease out there? Does anybody know? Anybody type that in? Let's see if anybody's typing. I'll give you the answer. Cancer. Cancer is our number one anaerobic disease. It was shown in a study, 1936 study, Dr. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Peace Prize in medicine for showing that cancer cannot thrive in an oxygenated environment. So when you introduce oxygen around a place where cancer is developing, the cancer stops developing, and in fact, it even can show signs of remission. Cancer is an anaerobic disease. It thrives where the oxygen is not present. So get this, we're breathing at 20% of our capacity. Cancer is one of the top killers in our world today. Do you see the link? Are you making the link? If we're not getting enough oxygen into our body, we're creating an environment that's inviting cancer in. So just by learning to breathe at 60, 70, 80, 90% of our capacity regularly, we're inundating our body with oxygen, which is like our first line of defense against cancer and any of these anaerobic diseases. Right? So this is vitally important to your health and well-being. So that's pretty much the information I wanted to share with you today. We really looked at the physical dimension of the breath work in the greater context of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions that are all affected with this breath process that we teach here at Rythmia. I think the next couple weeks we'll go into the emotional dimension, we'll go into the spiritual dimension, so make sure that you tune in for that. I've enjoyed having you all on. I've enjoyed the questions. I hope that you've gotten satisfactory answers. If I try to look through the list of comments after, and if there's anything that I didn't answer here on live, I'll try to type in some answers for you. Look me up on Facebook, friend me. I'd appreciate it if you friend me on Facebook, that you also send me a message that said, I'm friending you because I saw you on Facebook Live, Rythmia's Facebook Live, or something, just to give me a connection. I get so many friend requests, and it's hard to know whether, I don't like to accept things from just random people, but the people who, now we have a connection here, I want to continue that connection. R. Christian Minson, the letter R, Christian Minson is my name, so you can find that on Facebook, and we can continue this. If you got any more questions, then we can answer. And of course, tune in each week to these Facebook Lives. Not only mine, but Jerry does one tomorrow. So I Got My Miracle. He interviews somebody who went through the program during the week and really felt like they got something deep and significant about it. A great way to see, a third-party view of how well the program works here. So I'm R. Christian Minson with the Breathwork program here at Rythmia, inviting you to come on down. And until we see you here, I'll see you next week on these Facebook Lives. So all the best to you. Pura vida.